Hello everybody, Larry Young here again with another segment of OLaMan Living Life with Purity. And today I want to talk about square dancing and how square dancing might just save the world, or at least some of the loneliness that's going on with a lot of our younger people these days. So what I'm talking about is social media. And what is surprising about people who use social media on a rather heavy basis throughout the day, what they're finding out, especially with our younger people who are addicted to social media platforms and things like that, and gaming, doing all these lonely pursuits where they're isolated, they feel like they're engaging and they're being a part of the world with all these social media contacts and things like that, and all these likes and other ways that they value and can gauge their success or their popularity, and they are creating their self-esteem out of these things. But at the end of the day, what they're really finding out is that they're terribly isolated. No matter how many people they may have out in the internet universe, they are still alone and they are by themselves. And these feelings of loneliness start to creep in, this isolation. And this creates more of a need and an obsession with trying to find someone and find some way to connect. But in the meantime, they haven't learned how to in the real world. The only way they know how to is by way of a Tinder or some other dating platform or some other hookup site and things like that. And that's why a lot of our young people, they're just getting together for a physical sex gathering and not for trying to build a lasting relationship based on love and esteem for each other. So they're missing the part of humanity that binds us together. And it's not the sex act. Monkeys do that. And then they run away to a different tree. Humans need this feeling of connection and togetherness and having someone and being a part of something. So what is happening now, and how are these younger people dealing with their feelings of isolation and loneliness? Well, they're coming up with the banquet table sort of philosophy. The long border tables that you see down some, like, well, they used to be like in the old beer halls and things like that, where everyone would line up at the tables at the festivals and, straw, have their drinks and all like that. Everyone was together. Everyone was having fun. Everyone was bouncing to the music and having a good old time with the Oompa band behind them. And right now they're having people are going out for dinner and they don't have a date. So they're showing up at these places by themselves. And what they do is they just sit down at the table amongst a whole bunch of other strangers. And sometimes they'll get into conversations with each other sitting next to them. Sometimes some of these people will still sit there with these things and get immersed in this, which is really killing the whole idea of why to sit next to somebody you don't know at this long table. You're kind of pulling an end run fake. So what these people are trying to do is they're trying to have some sort of connection and meaning that says, I was a part of something, and sitting down at these stranger tables. And many times some of these people will come out of their shells and they'll connect with somebody at the table. They'll engage in somebody else's conversation and end up having a conversation of their own with people. So this is how they learn to talk and connect with people. Shit that we learned when we were in kindergarten. Okay, I don't know why it's taking these people so long to figure this stuff out. It's because of these. This is what's retarded them socially and psychologically. So how do we fix this? Well, I think we need to come up with other social pursuits that can build upon this long banquet table kind of strategy. And one of the things that came to mind when I was talking with my mother about her wedding reception way back in the late 40s was that they hired a band to perform at their wedding reception. And what they did is they hired a square dance band, a very popular band from the area, because people at that time just loved the heck out of square dancing. It was social, it was engaging, it was physical, and it was fun because inevitably somebody was going to mess up and everyone would laugh and they'd get their, their dance going again. And it was just fun, and it was everybody made a mistake and everybody enjoyed it together and everyone was having a good time. Now, I know a lot of people say, square dancing? Who the hell wants to square dance? My God, my grandma and grandpa did that. Exactly. Square dancing is one of those things that, if you're not aware of it, is you'll have a caller or the singer, if you would, at a band. He's up there or she's up there, and they're calling out the directions for the square dancers to do. So they can go around and do these, different routines and movements that they do with their partners and with the other people in the dancing square. And this was very popular back in the 40s, 50s, 60s. It started dying out a bit in the 70s, but there were still clubs that did it. But it'd be very common for somebody who had a dance barn or a music barn someplace that on Saturday evenings or Sunday evenings, they would have an open square dance and everyone would show up and have a good time. And it was very social. A lot of people met, and that's where they fell in love together in a square dancing situation. So a lot of people would show up single. They didn't have anyone to dance with. They would just join up with a square, a pretty girl across the way, and you were lucky if you got to dance the whole night with her. And a lot of love relationships bloomed this way. And square dancing carries with it sometimes a certain simple elegance. If it's done right, you got experienced dancers. It can also be a really awkward and funny experiment if you're new to the business and you're in with other people. They'll be happy to help you make your mistakes, and they'll laugh with you about it. They'll teach you, and you'll get better. And there's something about being vulnerable in those instances that makes you more endearing to somebody else that might have their eye on you. So I think what our young people need today that are feeling lonely and isolated because of their cellular telephones and their behaviors with them is they need to get out of their shell and maybe not sitting at the table. I think it's a good idea, but I think there's better ways to have these types of things where you can have activities that are wholesome, that are fun, that get you good exercise, and it's going to cast your net a little bit wider out there in that sea of potential people, and you're going to get used to talking to somebody again. Because right now we've got so many young men and women that don't even know how to approach somebody and say, hey, how you doing? You're from around here? I mean, whatever, whatever the case may be, whatever your pickup line might be. But are you seeing anybody? It's like, are you interested? Maybe go for some coffee, maybe go get dinner. What do you say? These types of things. Younger people are too afraid, too shy to do it on their own so often. So maybe the square dancing might be an easy, interesting way where you take people, you're all unfamiliar with the process, so everyone comes in equally ignorant, but you can engaging in some new task, a new kind of entertainment, and maybe meet that hot one that's been across the square from you there. So think about that. In the meantime, I love you, and I'll be back.